Hey mamas, so well it's Saturday, right? What day is it? Does anybody know anymore? Um, Greetings everybody, this is a prenatal class. I teach prenatal yoga. I've been teaching prenatal yoga for at least 11 years now, and it's so special to me. I have 2 kids at home. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I was actually pregnant with her when I did my first teacher training with Sarah Joy. And going through that teacher training while I was pregnant was an incredible experience, and I just was even more emphasized to me the life skills and the resources I was gaining from practicing yoga, and how it helped me in more ways than just feeling strong and flexible. So that was some of the inspiration. I knew I wanted to teach prenatal yoga as soon as I had that experience. And then I was teaching prenatal yoga at UG Yoga for a couple years, and then sure enough I ended up getting pregnant again myself with my lovely son, who is now 8 years old. So I'm officially 8 years postnatal now. Our prenatal class is so special. It makes me feel emotional and a little verklempt just thinking about it, and I'm really missing seeing the beautiful mamas. I know Lita, if you're out there watching, Lita, congratulations, you had your baby. And Jen, you had your baby a couple weeks ago. I know a lot of mamas are about in the same place, and you have these beautiful little babies now. I've been getting some pictures from you, so thank you so much, and thank you for staying connected through Facebook and social media. It means so much. So usually in prenatal class, it's the one class that I set up where all the students are actually in a circle, and we do usually a check-in about how far along everyone is, how they're feeling, if there's anything specific they want to share. So that part of class is missing, that part of connection. But just to know, like, my heart really goes out to you all so much to be pregnant in this time and have, it's hard. It's stressful, I'm sure. And to bring a baby into the world right now is, there's all kinds of extra challenges and concerns you're experiencing that we normally wouldn't have to experience. But you all got this. You are amazing parents already, doing things and making choices and sacrifices to be there for your family and your little ones. And I've been so impressed with the group that we've been working with. And if everyone's tuning in and trying prenatal out for the first time, or if you're not pregnant and you just want a gentle yoga class, this would be an appropriate place for you as well. So as I've been discussing and checking in with the other classes I've been teaching, we're going to be going through work that helps strengthen your body. If you're pregnant, you have that relaxin hormone that makes you a little more wiggly in your joints. Your body is brilliant. Thank goodness for relaxin. However, stability is really important, and your hips have a bigger job now, and your body's compensating and changing in different ways. So we're going to work on strengthening to support through pregnancy and beyond. And we're also going to work on releasing tension in certain areas where we tend to get tight. I'm thinking this, like we do a lot of this in pregnancy and in life. We're driving, where this could get tight, or the upper back could get pulled on or strained. So this is what we do. We go through movement to strengthen, to bring more mobility. But the main focus really here is resilience. And how do you fill your inner resources? So inner resources are full, and at times when the you-know-what hits the fan, that we have a bit of a cushion. We have some resources available. So this is a time that hopefully these skills will come in and help. So there's a few things you'll need for class. Well, you do the best if you don't have these things. You don't necessarily need them, but it'll come in handy. I have a yoga strap. You don't need to have a yoga strap. It could be a long sleeve, like stretchy shirt or hoodie. It could be a towel or something like that. Something that you're gonna be able to hold wide and do this kind of movement or something with, okay? I'm sitting on a yoga block. If you have blocks or something like that around the house, you could use that. If not, it's okay. For the resting portion at the end of class, you might wanna have some pillows nearby. We have these bolsters at the studio, but you'll want to have just pillows that you could prop up so you could kind of lean back and rest, or maybe blankets or something like that. So you could have what you need nearby and get that now or get it later. And at first we'll just do a little bit of a grounding and a check-in moment. So take your time to settle in and have a comfortable seat. Part of what we're practicing is simply being present. Present moment awareness. Just take a moment to get curious about how things are feeling for you right now without having to criticize or have a lot of judgment around it. Like a genuine, loving curiosity, like you check in with a loved one. What's the quality of your inner landscape? Maybe your nervous system state, the quality of your thinking mind, or maybe sensation in your body is what you're noticing. We have a few skills that are very subtle, but these help to nudge our nervous system towards balance, and one is grounding. To bring your awareness to where you're making contact with the floor or whatever surface you're sitting or laying on. Drop your awareness right into your foundation. Your breathing is directly connected to your nervous system state, and it happens automatically without us having to think about it, thank goodness. But it's also something you have some agency over. Your exhale promotes the calming response, your parasympathetic nervous system. Inhale, more upregulating response, your sympathetic nervous system. So if you just simply let your exhales run their course all the way to the end, you don't have to force it, and then receive your inhales naturally. This is a way you could offer some self-soothing. Try that for a few breath cycles. Let your exhales go all the way to the end. See if with your exhales you could practice this next subtle practice. It's just to relax the muscles of your face, your jaw, your eyebrows, even the roof of your mouth might be able to slightly soften or broaden. Your facial expression responds so fast to your nervous system state that it's a way in. By relaxing those muscles, you're just sending a message to your physiology. There's not an immediate threat right now in this room. There's no emergency right now. And we'll keep coming back to those same practices, grounding. Where are you making contact with the floor beneath you? It's an easy way to bring your attention in your body in the present moment. Gentle, complete exhales, which promote the calming response in your nervous system. And to relax the muscles of your face, your jaw, your palate. There's another practice we could add to this, is setting an intention. You could join your hands at your heart, or place your hands over your heart if you like. What attitude, what quality of heart, or what perspective would be supportive for you right now? This is actually a really significant practice. And my neurologist really encouraged me to practice this. Our emotions, our nervous system are connected. So what would offer you some soothing? It might be a sense of non-urgency, or telling yourself, I am capable. Maybe it's just a sense of confidence or patience or compassion. intentionally want to practice. Let that go. We're going to start with some movement. Now keep in mind, if anything hurts, don't do it. You can't ask me questions directly right now, so just trust yourself. If something doesn't feel right, you could discontinue use or find another way that it feels more comfortable in your body. You are the expert in your body. So we're going to start with cat-cow, and you could come to tabletop pose, hands and knees. And to have some support, though, depending on how far along you are, you might have this kind of weight that's pulling towards the floor. Try to lengthen through your spine, as if you could reach your tail and the base of your skull away from each other. And as you keep a quality of length to your spine, exhale, round your spine, cat pose. Inhale, lift your sternum, your chest forward and up, cow pose. Exhale to round your spine, fill into your low back. Inhale, as you come into cow pose, focus more on lifting your sternum, your chest. Maybe your shoulder blades can help lift your heart in the front. And you could practice all of those subtle practices now. Grounding, complete exhales, and relax your face, your jaw. Cat pose is a great place to feel, I call it melty face. Relax your face. And you could finish with a rounded spine, cat pose. Come back to tabletop. Okay. Now, if you are experiencing any heartburn or indigestion, you don't want to bring your belly up above your heart. We'll just exasperate that. But if you're not feeling that right now, well, let's say if you are feeling that, if anybody's feeling heartburn, then you want to do a heart opener. You could clasp your hands back behind you like this. Everybody could try this. Roll your shoulders up and back and down and start to lift your arms. And rather than arching in your low back, lift your sternum, your chest. And you could even gently pull your hands away from each other. Take a big breath. And then let that go. So if you're feeling heartburn, you could always come up and do a bit of a heart opener or sweep your arms up overhead. If not, down dog is a lovely posture in pregnancy sometimes to release some pressure. You could tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back, downward dog. And bend one knee at a time as you extend your other heel towards the floor. Press into the floor with your hands and your feet as you do this, so there's some tone. And maybe you get into your calf muscles. If any of you have been having those awful Charlie horse cramps at night, maybe you could get a stretch to your calf here. But also notice what your breath is like. One long exhale, let it go. Touch down with your knees. Have your knees wide and come down to rest in child's pose. Now this is where at home you might have a pillow that you prop yourself up on. Maybe your forehead could rest on a block. However you could set it up to work for you at home, that you could have a little rest in child's pose. Remember your intention. Just even to remember your intention is significant. And take your time to come on up. Now here, we're going to set this up. I'm using yoga blocks. I've also used soup cans for this, or books. So if you need some props, something to help the floor be closer, could kind of figure something out around the house that might work. You're going to come up to kneeling. I have the blocks here to make this a little easier to maneuver, but maybe you don't even need them. You're going to bring your right foot forward, and I'll show you from the side so you see what this looks like. Whoops, there we go. So right foot forward, where your foot could be about under your right knee. So for a lot of people that means scooch your right foot a little bit more forward. Press down through your right foot firmly to lengthen up through your spine, and see if you could lift the front of your pelvic bowl up towards your belly a little bit. You might already get a stretch to the front of your left thigh or those hip flexors. You can have your hands on your hips if you like. Pull your right foot back to bring your hips forward and down a little bit. Try not to sink into your end range, so we're using some muscular support. You can just go back and forth here. see if I could get this over the earbuds. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's a little bit of movement, bringing some openness into your left hip. The next time you come forward part way, bring your hands to your thigh and press forward and down into your thigh as you lift the front of your pelvic bowl up. And we call this the brightness. You might get a stretch to the front of your left hip a bit. You could stay right here or sweep your left arm up. And as you ground down through your feet, lift up and over to the right. And see if you could take a big breath into the left side of your rib cage. Come all the way up. And you could either touch the blocks or the floor, bring your hips back to switch sides. And take your time to switch sides. Left foot forward. I'll demonstrate from the front on this side. So have your left foot about under your left knee or a little farther forward. And so for muscular support, ground down. There's your grounding, your mindfulness tool too. Press down through your left foot. See if that can help you lengthen up through your torso and give a little lift to the front of your pelvic bowl. Okay, without collapsing, see if some movement's okay here. Back and forth. Notice both hips are doing different things. This hip is bending in the front, that's called flexion. This hip is kind of opening or stretching in the front, that's called extension. And these hip flexors, the muscles that are in that hip crease, tend to get a little tight, especially if you ever sit, right? So next time you come forward, pause there, bring your hands to your front thigh for support. This is a closed kinetic chain. Press forward and down into your thighs. You lift the front of your pelvic bowl up. You could sweep your right arm up. Press down to lift your rib cage up and over to the left. And see if you might be able to take a big breath into the right side of your ribs. Come all the way up. And you could release that. Come down to the floor. So we're going to do a big transition to actually lie down on the floor now to do our happy yoga clamshells. So I'm opening this blanket so I have a little bit of cushioning. And you're going to lie down. Let's say lie down on your left side first. If you're on the opposite side of me, it's okay. You can give yourself a pillow with either a pillow or your arm. And roll forward. So if you had a flashlight shining out of your belly button, you could shine that flashlight a little bit to the floor. And if it feels like baby belly is kind of pulling towards the floor, you could always maybe put a little blanket underneath there, give yourself the support you need. Take your right hand and give a little wake up to your outer right hip. So this might look a little silly, it feels kind of nice, but it's a wake up. You're bringing awareness to your outer right hip and glutes. This is the muscle area that you want to be working when you do the clamshell. And you'll bring your right arm back in front of you. Press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee. And then place it down gently. Now often we use resistance bands in class when we do this. It feels pretty effective without a resistance band. And there's a few ways we might make it a bit more effective. Could you keep your knees looking stacked? So I'm only lifting my right knee as it could stay even with my left knee, opposed to leaning back. I get a bigger range of motion. You see the difference? Stacked or leaning back. When you lean back, it's not wrong. You get more range of motion, but it's more likely your back muscles are going to help with that. We're trying to get specifically into this muscle group, these side, piriformis and her friends. It's also not wrong. A lot of people want to lift their whole leg. That's not wrong, but it recruits a whole lot of other areas to help out. Again, it's more specific probably to your outer hip to do it like this. Are you feeling that already? I'm feeling the burn. Now you could lift your top knee, hold it, that's isometric, and do little mini presses out into the air. Really try to make a mental muscle connection with your outer hip. Where is that effort coming from? And then let it go. Oh, my earpiece listened to that same instruction. But that's also an important skill, is to be able to put effort in and then let it go. Big breath. Take your time to switch sides, depending on how far along you are. I know that it could be a little awkward to move around on the floor. So take the time you need. You don't have to match my cueing when you're in class with me, and obviously if you're at home, you get to do this all at your own pace. So notice how my top knee is looking shorter than my bottom knee. I don't know if you could see that from that angle, but maybe. I'm going to bring this knee forward, which means it's going to kind of a sense of rolling forward a little bit. And press your feet into each other to lift your top knee away from your bottom knee and place it back down slowly. Both parts of this are part of the exercise. When you lift your knee, piriformis and her friends are contracting. They're shortening to help lift your knee up. And then when you place it back down with control, that's eccentric muscle control. Those muscles are going from a contracted position and they're having to lengthen while maintaining tone and strength and control. So you're really looking for full muscle function here. You might notice one side stronger than the other. That's normal. If it feels like your quads and hip flexors are trying to do the work, you might adjust where your legs are. You could experiment, bring your knees further or closer. Isn't this a fun experience? You can lift your top knee away from your bottom knee a little bit and do little mini presses out into the air. Really try to make that mental muscle connection. And then when you're done, let it go. Like really let that effort melt away and feel the shift from working and putting effort in to effortlessness. You take your time to come back up to tabletop pose, hands and knees. Again, provided you're not having heartburn, you could tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back to down dog. But for this down dog, take your feet a little wider apart than hip width, bend your knees a lot, and with your knees bent a lot, take your hips way, way back to lengthen your spine. Press the balls of your feet into the floor and a little bit back behind you so you feel some tone in your legs. With that tone and strength, inhale, lengthen your legs. They don't have to straighten all the way. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend. Once you've had enough, touch down and have a rest. Whatever version of child's pose. Maybe your knees are wide apart, maybe your hips don't reach your heels, it's absolutely okay. Have a rest. And really tune in to the sensation after that effort. Do you feel temperature in your body? Maybe your heart rate or circulation? Let those sensations be the most interesting thing, even for a moment more. You can take your time to come back up to table and all the way up to standing. I'm going to clean up my area. This is starting to look like my bedroom here. Okay, so here we are standing. Take your time. We're going to work a little bit. Now, if you have, some of you have blocks or something at home, you don't need it. All of this could be done without these props. You could use something else. If you have a yoga strap, could have this nearby, or have your yoga strap now. We're going to work with this. Or you could have, like I said, see my long sleeve shirt here that I was wearing? I could also use this like a yoga strap. Yeah? Okay. So find something that'll work for you. Ground down through your feet. I might as well add this too. I'm hesitant because a lot of you don't have yoga blocks, but if you have like kind of a pillow or something that would work, something's maybe firmer than that, but some of you might have blocks. So if you do have something that could work like this, to have this block in between your knees or just a little above your knees and give it a squeeze, you might get some more tone in your low core and pelvic floor. So if you have something, you could give that a bit of a squeeze, press down through your feet and take your yoga strap out in front of you, or your shirt or whatever you have, arms a little wider than shoulder width apart. Pull your hands away from each other on the yoga strap as you press your feet down and lengthen up through your torso. And if shoulders tend to come up here, you're going to relax your shoulders away from your ears. I call this a standing plank pose. It looks simple, but if you're pulling your hands away from each other, you're going to be feeling these rotator cuff muscles working. You might notice temperature changing. Let's add some movement. Exhale, lower your arms. Inhale, without arching through your low back, take your arms up overhead. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Could you keep a quality of steadfastness through your midline without swaying forward or back? Could you stay steady as you add this movement? And the hope is, if you're not going to do sit-ups when you're pregnant, but this takes some core stability. So you are working on core awareness and support. And if you keep this steady through your midline, you're probably going to be inviting more movement into your thoracic spine up here, which we tend to start rolling forward. The next time you come up, stay there. And you could press down through your feet, pull your hands away from each other as you lift up, 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 and over to the left. I'm not sure how rights and lefts are working. I forgot to ask, so whatever side it makes sense as I'm doing this, but press down through your feet and reach up and away from there. Take a big breath into the right side of your body. Up and over to the right. Press down through your feet as you reach up and away from there. Big breath into the left side of your body. All the way up. Bring your arms wide. Okay. Our wrists tend to pop forward. Try to have your fists in between your wrists and your forearms as you take the strap a little bit back behind you. Does that feel okay? It's also where you might notice your rib cage popping forward. See if you could have that steady as you bend your elbows to bring the strap back behind. Inhale up. Exhale down. Only if this feels all right, it doesn't agitate any shoulder injuries or anything like that. And if there is some shoulder or neck tension, and you're not quite sure about this, release in the front. This is feeling nice. You can come all the way down and back. Roll out your shoulders, let that go. Here we go again. Psoas walk. I've been teaching this in all my classes. I've always thought it was a boring exercise, but honestly the benefits are a lot. And this is why I keep teaching it. If the psoas muscle can relax, whole nervous system, sigh of relief. So your psoas, let's see, you won't be able to see this very well, but it connects to your upper inner thigh bone and your hip socket. Oh yeah, this might not work at all. And then it goes all the way through the depth of your body and connects to your lumbar spine. I just described this in the last gentle class I just taught online, so if it's repeat, I apologize. But this muscle pulls us into flexion. It curls us in like this. So it's very tied into our fight, flight, freeze response. So if we're stressed, this muscle is probably holding some tension. Keep in mind that it's doing that on your behalf. It's trying to promote your survival. And if you're feeling stressed and anxious and you're having physical sensations like a nervous tummy or a tight throat, your body's advocating for your survival. And we have some tools in our toolkit to help let the body know, okay, right now in this room I'm safe. I hope that makes sense. So to release tension in the psoas, we do this exercise. Take a little step back with your left foot. If you pivot your left heel in and out, you might have a sense that your left thigh bone is also rotating. That muscle's connected to your upper inner thigh bone. So to get more length to the psoas, take your left heel straight back if you can. Spring up onto the ball of your left foot, and as that pushes you forward, bend your right knee, let your body weight drop into your right foot. Draw your left heel straight back, body weight drops back. Spring yourself forward and draw yourself back with your left foot and ankle. Now, if any mamas out there are having swollen ankles or feet, that's really common. Movement. Lymph does not have a heart to pump it through our body, okay, like blood does. Lymph moves through our body from movement. So even just this kind of pumping action on the ankles and feet could perhaps help some of that fluid get back up into our legs. The next time you come forward, stay there. If it doesn't hurt, bend your right knee a little more. Look for an upright torso. Could you keep this steady? So that requires some attention. Could you keep your torso here? Keep baby right where they are as you send your left heel all the way back to the floor. You just do the best you can. It's kind of like an internal tug-of-war. Once your heel reaches, sweep your arms up. You might get the added benefit of a big calf stretch, which could be nice. Press down through your feet, reach up, and exhale all the way to the end like you're blowing out of a straw. You can either stay right here or take a hold of your left wrist, and as you press down through your feet, give a tug up, 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 and over to the right a little bit. And maybe some movement through your torso. Do you feel a tug, a lengthening through the left side of your body? Now when you're tugging on your psoas, you're also tugging on your main breathing muscle. So when you come up and step forward, let your body breathe you. Try not to inhibit it, and feel how your body breathes you. In pregnancy, the further along you get, the less room you have for your diaphragm to move. If you bring your hands to your rib cage right now, take a big breath and just feel the movement of your rib cage. Your diaphragm is your main breathing muscle, and it lives in your rib cage. It's kind of a big flattish muscle, and it goes up and down to breathe you like this. If baby's coming up, think you don't have that much room for your diaphragm. Do any of you ever feel like out of breath? I'm sad I don't get the responses right now, but I'm assuming usually the response is yes, I lose my breath easier, I feel like I can't take a full satisfying inhale. If that's the case, it could make us feel anxious even if nothing's occurring. So if we could get the diaphragm, that muscle, to release tension, psoas, that other muscle that's the flexor, connects to your diaphragm. So the state of one is the state of the other. I educate a lot about this because if you have an understanding, and you know there's just a couple poses that might help you breathe easier or stand up a little taller and have your nervous system feel more grounded. So here, take a step back with your right foot and we'll try the other side. And spring yourself forward, draw yourself back, forward and back. We're practicing balance, ankle mobility. Maybe lymph gets to get pushed back up into the legs. It's pretty awesome that we could walk around as these big, upright human beings on two little feet. I'm often in awe of that. And when you watch your little ones learn how to walk, you'll have an appreciation for how much practice it takes to be able to do this. The next time you come forward, stay there. You could bend your knee a little more, upright torso. Could you keep your torso steady? Keep baby where they are as you send your right heel all the way back to the floor. And once it reaches, sweep your arms up. Press down through your feet, reach up into your thumbs. Exhale all the way to the end like you're blowing out of a straw. Could stay right here or take a hold of your right wrist. Give a tug up and over to the left a little bit. Maybe some movement of your torso. Do you feel a lengthening or a pull through the right side of your body? If you don't feel that, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Take your time to come up, step forward, and let your body breathe you. Notice what grounding feels like beneath your feet, what your posture is like after that. Take a wider stance. So now we're coming to pelvic floor and hips. Okay? And we're coming up the line from ankles, knees, hips, pelvic floor. So you have these bones at the base of your pelvis called sit bones. Do you have a sense of what I mean by sit bones? Like if you were to sit down on the floor right now and rock side to side, you'd feel the bony landmarks of your sit bones. There's muscles that connect to these sit bones. First of all, your hamstrings, the muscles in the back of your thigh that bend your knee, connect to your sit bones. But also your pelvic floor muscles connect to sit bones. Your pelvic floor is like 3 layers of muscles. It's rather complicated actually. They connect to your pubic bone in the front, your tail in the back, and to each sit bone. So it's kind of like this boat of this muscular structure that's literally holding everything up. When you're pregnant, those pelvic floor muscles and hip muscles, they have a big job. Okay, so we're gonna try, it's not often pelvic floor can hold tension. Tight muscle is usually not a strong muscle. It's not going through its full muscle function. So we're gonna use this technique of using a muscle group to also not only to strengthen it, but to release tension. So this is admittedly a little weird, and sadly I don't have you in the room to giggle with me, but if you squeeze your heels, if you pull your heels towards each other, could you feel a little tone in your butt back there? Okay, so sit bones are hugging towards each other. We're gonna use that awareness. What happens as you inhale, come down into a bit of a squat, your knees will open over your toes, okay, and when your shins come forward, naturally your sit bones, your bottom will go back and your torso will lean forward. You press down, exhale, come up. Inhale, come down into your squat. Exhale, press down to come up. Now this might sound really weird, and if you haven't taken class from me before, it could sound extra funny. But could you pay attention? Is there any movement occurring with your sit bones? See if you could feel. Exhale, come up, sit bones come a little closer. Inhale, come down, sit bones slide apart. Exhale, press down, sit bones come a little closer. See if you can have a sense that there might be some movement. If you don't feel it, if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, that would be a perfectly normal response too. I'm using my hands. You could use your hands. There's a lot of neurofeedback from brain to hands and hands to brain. So it might help you with this visualization. Try one more. Come on up. Take a little rest. Okay. Maybe you felt that movement. Some people say to me, I don't feel sit bones moving. It feels more muscular, like a broadening and a contracting. Whatever your experience is, it's correct. I'm going to give you another assignment with this movement, and this is going to be even weirder, okay? You're going to try to initiate the movement from your sit bones. Now, no bones don't initiate movement, but by bringing your awareness to those bony landmarks, the hope is muscles that are connected and nearby will get involved. So the strategy is to pay attention to sit bones. You might be getting more activity in pelvic floor and in your hamstrings. Okay, let's give it a try. Inhale, sit bones relax apart. Exhale, hug your sit bones towards each other to come up. Inhale, sit bones relax apart. Exhale, hug your sit bones towards each other to come up. Trace your breathing. See if that feels any different. 3 more times. You could also hug your heels towards each other if it makes it more tangible. Last one. Come on up. Shake out your legs. You could go for a little walk around your yoga mat or the floor and just see how posture and hips feel after that. Those 2 practices, the psoas walk, this one, right? This one, and the squatting, are, if you don't have time for a whole practice, those are 2 great exercises to help support your posture throughout the day, wake up pelvic floor to be supportive, and maybe help relieve some low back stuff. So you could experiment with that. Okay, so now, so I'm a little limited. We're going to use the wall for a few postures, and you're going to be seeing me from behind, so it's not the best angle, but we're limited with this action, but I think you'll be able to still tell what I'm doing. So it helps if you have a wall in your house somewhere you could use. If you don't, you might use a countertop or something like that. We're going to do down dog at the wall. So for down dog at the wall, you place your hands shoulder width apart at shoulder height, and first press into the wall firmly as you press down through your feet and lengthen up through your spine. So just to create a sense of tone through your body. As you press into the wall with your hands, take a step back with each foot. You might bring your hands a little lower, but they're going to stay higher than your hips. As you take your hips way back, downward facing dog. And you could bend your knees to take your hips farther back, But the idea, I'm going to pretend there's a wall, the idea is that you're getting length through your spine. You're not going to arch in your low back. You're going to try to get length through your whole spine. Complete exhales. And when you're ready, step forward. Let it go. Roll your shoulders out a bit. The next one, it's the same thing, only you're going to be on your forearms. So you're going to start with your elbows shoulder width apart and press into the wall. Now that right there might be kind of not eventful, but you're strengthening baby holding muscles. So first just try pressing your forearms into the wall firmly. And then when you're ready, step back. Your forearms will slide down the wall a little bit. Keep pressing into the wall as you take your hips back. You could bend your knees. Maybe take your hips a little farther back. This tends to be a big experience for the upper back and shoulders. And being on your forearms, see if that feels, if you could fill into your low back a little bit. It might arch. You're going to fill into your low back. When you're ready, step forward. These postures at the wall, like say you're washing the dishes, you're having to reach out like this, and your back is kind of killing you, just to slip in and do a down dog at the wall. It's fast and it might help relieve some of that tension in your back. So while talking about doing the dishes or things that bring your arms in front of you like this, we tend to get a lot of tension across the chest, and the upper back is like crying, like, oh, I want a massage. But often it's, if this could open up a little bit, the muscles back here will have a better chance to do their job and hold our shoulder blades where they are for shoulder blade stability. So this is a big stretch for across these pec muscles, and it looks like this. You're going to face the wall. Your hand will come up to shoulder height, and before you go, this might be the exercise. Just press into the wall and feel the tone in your inner arm and in the front of your shoulder and in the back of your shoulder. Could you keep that integrity and start to turn your feet, hips, chest away from your fingertips? You might just go this far. Maybe you end up with your feet turning away from your hand. Press into the wall and isometrically imagine you're going to try to pull the wall forward. Obviously the wall's not going to move, your hand's not going to move, but the idea is now those pec muscles that are stretching, there's some tone there. It's an active stretch. Complete exhale. What's your breath like here? You could release at any time, or if you like, this feels good, you want to go a little farther, you could rotate your palm to face up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, let it go. You can roll out your shoulders a bit. If you're feeling some tingles, that's normal. When we're stretching in yoga, you're not just stretching muscles, you're also stretching nerves and your vascular system. So especially in pregnancy, if you start to feel a little dizzy or lightheaded, let it go. Blood pressure is a real thing, and when you're stretching this whole area, blood pressure might lower a little bit, which actually is nice. It could be relaxing, but if your blood pressure is already kind of low, you might start to feel dizzy. Know that that's normal, and you could just have a seat and let that exercise go. Other side, bring your left hand to the wall, shoulder height. Press into the wall or the door. You could use a doorway for this too. Start to turn your feet, hips, chest, maybe only go that far. The goal isn't to go super far, it's to invite some relief into your body. So press into the wall and imagine you're going to pull the wall forward. Active stretching, meaning there's some tone in the muscles as they're stretching. You actually get flexibility faster. Good for bone density. And you can release at any time or turn your palm open. It's only if it feels good. And tune into your breathing. Complete exhales. As you're ready, you can release. Roll your shoulders out. See how things are feeling. Take a wider stance for a forward fold. You could bring your hands to your heart. Press down through your feet. Inhale, reach up. You can lean back if you like. Exhale to forward fold. Feel free to bend your knees, bring your hands to your shins, maybe something on the floor in front of you. Inhale, long spine, lengthen forward. Exhale to bow. Again, if you're having heartburn, you won't want to do this. Inhale, long spine. Exhale to bow. One more. And take your time to come down and have a seat. We're going to I'm going to sit comfortably. My favorite seat is on a block like this. You can sit with your legs crossed, up on a cushion. You could be sitting on a chair right now. So we're going to finish before Shavasana with a stretch for the side of the neck. Now, if you have neck injuries, it's really common. I've been in car accidents, had whiplash, reverse cervical curve, so I've definitely had some neck issues. We're going to approach this slowly, but if anything feels agitating, please just let it go. You don't want to aggravate any old injuries or anything like that. This is meant to be a stretch to release tension in these secondary breathing muscles. And by stretching them, it inhibits them a bit for breathing, and it's hopefully going to bring you more into breathing with your diaphragm, which could be calming. It also tends to lower blood pressure, because when we're stretching the side of the neck, you are also stretching pretty large artery that is bringing blood to your brain. So if you start to feel lightheaded or dizzy, let it go. It's nothing bad is happening. You just let it go. If you know your blood pressure is a little low, like when I was pregnant, I had low blood pressure, so I had a lot of head rushes and I got dizzy a lot. So you could just be more gentle with this. This exercise, I brought this block because if you're sitting on the floor, you want to be able to touch the floor or something next to you. And you could sweep your left arm out to the left. Reach up through the crown of your head. And you could even try just reaching the heel of your palm. Flex your wrist a little bit like this. See what that feels like. Now as you extend your fingertips away from you, reach up through the crown of your head. And almost like you had a beam of light shining out of the crown of your head. So it's not about getting your ear to your shoulder. It's take that beam of light and extend it maybe towards over where the ceiling meets the wall. Inhale up. Exhale over. Reach your fingertips and the crown of your head away from each other. Inhale up. Exhale over. Trace your breathing. The next time you reach the crown of your head over to the right, keep reaching energetically in that direction as you slowly lower your arm, reach out through your fingertips, your nail bed, so there's a sense that there's tone, like your arm's moving through honey. And your fingertips will come to rest. I'm using a yoga block, maybe on the floor or books, or if you're sitting in a chair, you might even hold the underneath seat of the chair. So fingertips and the crown of your head are still reaching away from each other. This could be plenty. Tune into your breathing. Complete exhale. If you want to go a little farther, take your right hand over by your left ear. Now don't pull on your head, but instead start pressing your head into your hand, and your hand could offer resistance. I'm really pressing into my fingertips, and my fingertips are resisting, and it just made this an active stretch. Stay with your breathing. You could stay right here, or tip your chin a little towards your chest to get more towards the base of your skull. Gentle, complete exhales. And slowly, slowly release. And for a moment, bring your hands to your lap and just observe the echo, sensation. Maybe what your breath is like. What's the quality of your nervous system or your mental broadcast like? And we'll try the other side. I'm switching the support. Sweep out through your right arm. Now to make this a little more stable, you could draw your shoulder blade in towards your spine. Could you keep that hugging in as you extend out through your fingertips? You could try a little, we call this nerve gliding. Just inviting nerves to kind of smooth out as you flex your wrist. You could keep your hand like this if you like, or you could extend out through your fingertips, reach up through the crown of your head. Exhale, reach the crown of your head over to the left. And up. Exhale over. Inhale up. Really, you could do the breathing either way. You could see what feels more natural to you. The next time you reach the crown of your head over to the left, keep reaching that direction energetically as you reach out through your fingertips and bring your arm down. And you're increasing this stretch. You don't have anything to press into until your hand comes to the floor, the block, or maybe holding the seat of your chair. Keep grounding into your fingertips as you reach the crown of your skull away from there. This could be plenty, and you could release at any time. Or you take your left hand over kind of above your right ear and start slowly pressing your head into your hand. And your hand offers resistance. When it becomes an active stretch, it ends up often being more sensational. It does not need to be really intense to be effective. Gentle, complete exhales. Where does your inhale expand? Could it drop into your belly a bit? You could stay here or tip your chin a little towards your chest. When you're ready, slowly release and take a moment to sit quietly. You could let your breath be natural. There's no wrong results. Lovingly check in for a moment. What's the quality of your inner landscape like? There's no wrong answer. Just to see if there's been any shift from when you first started your practice. Let that go. And we're going to set up for a resting pose. So what I suggest to you, I'm going to show you what we do in the studio. Some of you might have these props, but you don't need these props. I used to teach this. We didn't have bolsters. We stacked blankets. A great way to also rest is, of course, lying on your side. And you're at home, so you could actually be on your sofa or bed, but make yourself comfortable is the idea. The setup we do usually in class, and I don't have a yoga mat, so I'm just kind of showing how we do it. It's not going to be super functional because it might be a little slippy. But we use the yoga blocks and kind of make a staircase with the yoga blocks like that. Prop the bolster over these yoga blocks so you're able to lean back, so like this is stable. Now most of you might not have a bolster, so how we used to do it before we had these nice big pillows in the studio is we just took blankets and stacked up blankets so there was this diagonal. Or you could lean back in your chair if you have a recliner or something like that, whatever works for you. If you are using a setup kind of like this with a bolster, when you sit in front of it, you want your sacrum, that's the back of your pelvic bowl, coming right up to the bolster. So it's touching and it's going to be supported. And then one way to rest here, I'm going to hold on to the bolster so it doesn't slip, is you could have your legs crossed. You could also have a blanket or a pillow under your legs, so you could have your legs straight out in front of you. Oh, it's actually working pretty well. Oh, this is nice. Okay. Go rest amongst yourselves. No, I'm joking. Okay, so that's one option. Or Supta Baddha Konasana, it's a posture for, they say hormone balance and digestion. It tends to be really popular during pregnancy. Feet together, knees wide. But my one hang up when I see people practicing this is they often practice without support under their legs. I encourage everybody to support your hips so you're not hanging on that joint, especially for those of you that are pregnant with the relaxin hormone. So your options, if you want to have feet together, knees apart, which could feel nice, you're going to give yourself folded blankets under your thighs, One neat way to do this is to open a blanket and roll it up like this. So you make a roll, and then this blanket roll goes over the tops of your feet and tucks under your shins and your thighs like that. Like that. Oh yeah. And then you're going to rest. So take the time to make any adjustments and to set yourself up so you could feel really comfortable. And remember that when I finish class, it doesn't mean you have to finish Shavasana or resting. Maybe you end up taking a nap. Maybe you have a busy to-do list for the day. But right now, you're going to practice letting that go. Make any little adjustments so you could feel supported and not distracted. Once you've settled in, begin to let go. Invite your body to rest. Feel where you're being held and supported by the floor or blankets or pillows. Notice where the pressure is between you and whatever surface you're lying on. Encourage your muscles to now soften their grip on your bones. It feels like you could surrender to gravity a little bit more and rest heavy towards the earth. Relax your jaw and your forehead, and even the roof of your mouth, your palate, might be able to ever so slightly soften. When you rest, our body goes into rest and digest. You absorb your food and digest your food and absorb nutrients, but you also get a chance to digest emotions and life experience. There's nothing special you need to do, just rest. Use your imagination, what it would feel like if your thinking mind could also soften its grip on problem solving or planning, the to-do list. For a little while, could you practice letting all of that stuff go and invite even your thinking mind to have a rest? Your emotional body, which you're holding so much on the behalf of yourself and others. What would it feel like if just for a little while, your emotional body could also have a rest, let go of effort. Invite your whole self to simply rest right now. Nothing to do or get done. Nothing to undo. As best as you can, just rest right now. sign off of Facebook. But if you're resting, and you're able to stay there longer, I encourage you to stay there longer. You don't have to get up, we're not in class together, you can stay right where you are, but just know that I'm sending this love out to all my prenatal family, the families that just had babies, the families that are expecting soon, or maybe you're newly pregnant. But my heart goes out, and if you have questions about any of the stuff that I'm doing, you could email Eugene Yoga, or you could message me on Facebook. But stay connected.